Hey there, Icarus here. For any of you that are regulars when it comes to Doom modding and the usage of source ports, you're probably aware that a significant drop occurred recently, that being the 5.0 release of UZDoom. UZDoom is the successor to popular source port ZDoom. It's now the de facto main source port for a lot of modders going forward, and the 5.0 release has been eagerly anticipated, because with it comes an entire suite of features and improvements that are going to transform how a lot of mods work going forward. So what better than to have yours truly give you a little bit of a rundown of a few items that stood out to me the most. First above all, multiple security fixes. That's kind of an important thing. If you're using a version of UZDoom older than 5.0, you should be updating anyway. This is part of the course. Beyond that, controller support has been improved significantly. Paddles can now be assigned properly, and analog stick curves have been tweaked to feel much more natural. Binds for these have been cleared as a result, so if you had a preferred setup before now, I guess it sucks to be you, you're gonna have to do it again. And there is also haptic feedback for controllers. Now, whether this is natively enabled as standard, I'll have to test. Let me just do that for a second. Yeah, that works pretty nice, provided you're using the right kind of controller. At first I used my PlayStation 5 DualSense controller. It had no idea what it was doing or even where it was. The binds were all over the shop. Best I can figure, this may have been a consequence of attempting to use this controller wirelessly rather than having it plumbed in directly. On top of that, if you swap over to X input, you're going to have a drastically better time. The binds were pretty much all sorted right off the bat, and the haptics feature is actually pretty tastefully integrated as well. Particularly a fan of the way the chainsaw thrums in the hand as it's standing idle. But if you'd rather have the controller only shake in very particular circumstances, you can dial down that sensitivity. You can also tell it not to shake when you're doing simple things such as pressing buttons or using the menu. After controllers, the other entry here that stood out to me was improvements to ZScript. This spans a whole bunch of added features which allow for more intricate scripting, and this can span a whole gamut of things from enemy behaviors, cutscenes, and just elaborate mid-level events. I'll be perfectly honest with you, my knowledge of ZScript usage is vanishingly thin, but I do acknowledge that when it's used well, it can add a tremendous amount of what I like to call the gee-whiz factor to any given mod. As you can imagine, looking forward to seeing how this may be applied in future. IQM bone manipulation. Now, this is something I had to go look up. IQM stands for Interquake Model. As far as I can tell, this means that you now have greater control over things such as 3D enemy models and what have you when imported into UZDoom, and allows for fun things such as having an enemy directly look at you when it's targeting you, for example, or spawning effects, specific animations, and blends between such. It'll essentially allow authors to be a little bit more creative and expressive with model usage. They'll certainly be a heck of a lot less stiff in their implementation with this. And from what I can tell, a few elements of this IQM bone manipulation means that you can do some of this natively within UZDoom 5.0 itself. Here's probably one of the bigger line items here in 5.0 for me: multiplayer. So, according to the notes here, 5.0 comes with some massive improvements to its networking stability. A packet server, a once-forgotten networking mode, has been fixed up and is now the default. This works similar to client/server, where everyone talks to the host directly, removing the peer-to-peer nature and getting rid of those nasty connection issues once and for all. There's still a lot to improve. Game joining, weapon prediction, the list goes on. This is a huge stepping stone towards adding these, and you can expect to see more features in the future. So at the moment, you do need a fair bit of cooperation on both ends to actively join a multiplayer session, so you're going to have to deal with things such as pull forwarding and, crucially, making sure you're all joining at the start of the game. I'm not sure mid-game joining is enabled as yet, but it's already, from what I'm reading here, miles ahead of how it used to be. In terms of active implementation, mods such as Realism 2 actively support this multiplayer right now, allowing for mid-round ally resin should someone kick the bucket. In a perfect world, I would love to have a browser implementation here and have that ability to join mid-game. But genuinely, it's really nice to see more multiplayer options here becoming available. Don't get me wrong, Xandro's still pretty great when it comes to multiplayer functionality, but it's nice to see something such as UZDoom here beginning to add a bit of competition into the mix. Doubly so when you realize just how many mods are dependent on UZDoom and wouldn't work on Xandro. So to see some of those get some multiplayer functionality excites me greatly. 64-player Russian overkill on Octoplok, anybody? Who wants the computer to explode first? Now granted, there are a great many more under-the-hood improvements. There are accessibility options, there's greater language availability as well in the launcher menu. There's just all sorts of tweaks, fixes, and additions, and in all honesty, if you want to really dig into the nitty-gritty, feel free to check out the link in the description, which will give you access to the full change list. But yes, here's to UZDoom 5.0. Congratulations to everybody working on it. Really happy to see this milestone finally hit, and eagerly awaiting all of the mods that are soon to follow as a result. In the meantime, if you want a hit of what takes advantage of it right here, right now, that aforementioned Realism 2 just had an expansion pack, and wouldn't you know it, it's even more of the already fun thing, which means it's still pretty goddamn fun. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this whistle-stop update of what the deal is with UZDoom 5.0. Looking forward to what this immensely talented community of modders does with it, and until next time, this has been Mr. Icarus. Thank you very much for watching. Icarus out.